Hey guys, welcome back to Choosing Recovery. I'm Olivia.
This is Scooty. I'm Scotty.
And we're just having a great day today. Anyways, Tracey has come on to share her story during the family series, so let's jump right into it.
Zoom.
Scooty, you're supposed to zoom.
Ready, set, ready. Zoom.
We'll go ahead and start. So what was your first reaction and thoughts when you found out that your loved one was in active addiction?
I asked myself how I missed it and how long had it been going on. I also had just gotten out of a pretty difficult marriage where there was a lot of lies, and so I asked myself, should I walk away from this situation and protect myself and my children? Why am I getting back into another situation like this? Mm-hmm. And then because my faith, I took a step back and I remembered that Jesus hung out with the tax collectors and the people who most people wouldn't hang out with. Mm-hmm. And Jesus forgave the thief on the cross. And with the story of the Good Samaritan, we are supposed to show love to everyone, even if they're different from us. And because of that, I knew I needed to stick by their side and show them that they had 100% support and love and forgiveness and help to move forward in life.
Love that.
Absolutely. And it is like getting the army together, you know, because someone has to do it. Like you said, there's so many people that don't have that understanding. So if you do, it's time to stand up, you know. It's time to get part of the army. Let's go. So how did your loved one's addiction affect you?
I wrote a song. I'll read it to you.
Awesome. Yes.
When I started, I like to do a lot of piano playing, songwriting, things like that.
Awesome.
So when I started noticing things, I wrote, I see it in your eyes, so why you telling all these lies? I don't know what you're fighting. I'm just going to keep on trying. So please just open up your eyes and just see me. Please see me, and I promise I'll protect you. Through the good and bad, through the tears and laughter. Please see me, every flaw and imperfection. Open up your eyes and just see me. Your eyes, they tell the story clear. The road ahead is full of fear. Please just take me by my hand and know I never will let go. Please just open up your eyes and just see me.
Wow. It's very deep. It's very deep.
So there's two sides to what I felt. I knew there were lies. And I kept saying, like, please just tell me the truth. Like, I need you to trust me. Mm-hmm. And the more you trust me, the more I can help you get through it. And I felt a lot of guilt and sadness. I wondered, is it my fault I was enabling them? I didn't even realize that I was enabling them. And ultimately, they got really deep into addiction. So deep that one night I just randomly woke up, came downstairs to get a midnight snack, and found them with something I won't ever forget. Just blue, covered in vomit, struggling to breathe, had to give them CPR and save their lives, had to call 911, which was very difficult because I knew there would be consequences. And just the cycle, knowing this is what things are going to be like today. I knew exactly what to expect, and I knew that they were trying to get help, and it wasn't happening. And ultimately, the way for me to help them at that time was to call 911, because I knew that either they were going to die from this, which almost happened, or I might lose them because I called 911 and they were in jail. And I know that I woke up for a reason that day. And I found them because their story is meant to continue and God's not done with them. And that's what is hopefully happening right now. Like, I can't do a lot to help right now. I'm not allowed to. And that's the trickiest thing is I can't do anything. It has to be from a distance, and it has to be something that they surrender themselves to God and find a new centerpiece in life, because drugs are their centerpiece and God needs to be their centerpiece. And also, like, the positive side is my faith has grown, and I've learned more from the situation. I want to help people, I want to educate people, and I want to make sure that other individuals have an understanding of how to make sure they can stop the cycle and truly get the help that person needs.
We truly believe it's so important for someone to believe in something because it gives them a chance to give all the stuff that's inside you away to something else, and to be able to have access to move on. You know, like when you were talking about the lies, I believe that's such a two-way cycle. You know, I truly believe we lie to not hurt people, even though we don't see it as that we're hurting people the most there. And also because our addiction wants us to lie so we can keep doing what we're doing. You know, and that's so hard to get away from. And like I truly believe having a higher power to be able to give away all this stuff that's been holding you back will help you change your life.
I know from my experience that our son's over here, that's why he just stepped away. I know that from my experience, I needed to know that I am not that powerful. That whatever I think that I'm capable of doing, that there's something bigger than me that can give me so much more than I'm even capable of doing. Like today, like I'm a mother, we got a lot of things going good for us. You know, I've never been more financially stable in my entire life. I would not have even, if you would have even opened your mouth to tell me this, I probably would have like ran away. You know, like it's so unbelievable that I'm here today and that there is this capability, and my recovery is because of God. You know, whatever people, I think people get hung up on the word, and I think it's incredible to know whatever faith you have, right? Like, know that that's your faith, you know? But people, I think, get in and they get so caught up on it, you know? And it's like, but don't allow whatever it is to just enter your life. You know, you don't have to know what it is right now, you know? And allow it to grow. Like you said your faith is deepening in this experience, and that's incredible. That's what it's supposed to do.
It is.
Yeah, it's awesome. So what were the first signs that you noticed?
That's kind of a tricky one, because in hindsight, there were probably more that I should have noticed that I was like, oh my, like,
Yeah.
that was totally happening and I didn't even see it. And I'd like to say I'm a pretty smart person and I missed a lot of things. So I think the first one was money wasn't going where they said. I'm going to go get gas, I'm going to go get groceries, come back, and where are the groceries? And so then I figured out, you know, I can't be giving this person money. And then they started going to other people to give money. They spend a lot of time in the bathroom. And I didn't really understand why. That's probably the one that in hindsight I should have known. I thought other things were going on. Then there were a lot of injuries and pain, so they'd have to go to the hospital to go get some pain medication. Change in behavior, they were always sad or angry, very little happiness, sleeping all the time. Poor hygiene, not taking care of themselves, not showering, not brushing teeth, hair got long, wasn't grooming. And then the last one is the weird marks, bumps. And then they would say, well, I was helping someone to move and I got this bruise, or I got this bump, or I was getting in the car. And you could just tell that it wasn't from that. That's when I started to realize that it had gotten really deep, and they were truly hurting themselves through what they were doing.
Those are some really big signs to be able to point out. Even if you didn't see them at first, it's still very important that you do see them now and that they may have had an impact. From my experience personally, everything you said aligned with my addiction. Absolutely, at some point of my life.
And there's a term called substituting, where people that have loved ones in active addiction, they'll substitute excuses out of their heads to try to manipulate their way from trying to see that someone's actually,
there's something wrong.
You don't want to believe it, and it's hard, you know. So even I noticed it with like people that were like using around me that I never thought would use and things like that. while I was in active addiction. So it goes all around, and it's hard.
And it's good to be observant, you know, and not to wear the shame and the guilt of it, because I think it's really hard for family members they wear that. They wear it as something that they deserve, or that they own it. It's not your shame, it's not your guilt, you know, even when you were like, well, maybe I should have seen that earlier, but you understand it now, you know.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's learning, it's growing the whole way. So knowing what you know now, would you change anything?
I would have reached out to family sooner, talked to them and said, you know, I think something more serious is going on. We need to stop giving money. I was afraid to let family members know what was going on, because I didn't want to embarrass my loved one. I didn't want to put them in a difficult situation, and I felt strongly it needed to be on their terms, like something that they reached out and they told family. And I feel like if I would have gone and talked to family members and friends sooner, that we could have stopped enabling.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because as hard and sad as it is, an addict will take as much advantage of a person as they can. So the fact, I feel like when people stop enabling and get educated on addiction, they're saving their spouses or loved ones' life, you know, because you can love them from afar, and they will thank you when they get clean and sober. And I promise you, he will be 100% grateful when he gets clean and sober that you didn't do that, because you saved his life in many ways. They have to go through it, and they have to feel alone. They have to feel like they want to change for themselves. You know, that's just it.
Yeah, and everybody's rock bottom is different, right? And a lot of people are like, when they talk to the family members, they're like, allow them to hit it, whatever rock bottom it is. Because my personal experience, I would hit rock bottom and I'd be like, oh, that's nothing. What could happen next? And it would get worse and worse and worse and worse. And I was like, and I would shrug it off, because that's just the life that I was living. But people stopped enabling me too. They weren't picking up those problems. They weren't paying for a hotel room. They weren't feeding me. They weren't doing those things. And that's what allowed me to understand that I was, one, fighting this alone, even when they were really saving me. You know, it's a really hard concept to understand that. So, why do you think it's important for family members to be educated on addiction?
From what I've seen, there are a lot of things in place that aren't working. And so when family members are able to see that, my loved one was reaching out for help, had been in and out of detox prior to this bigger situation, would last for 2 days and then would call and say, please come get me. And the first time I was like, oh, it's not working, so I'll just go get him. The second time, we had a plan in place that no matter what they said, I wasn't going to go get them. And then it got to be from the detox centers, we can't keep them here. And so they would be sent home in a cab, because I was not going to go get them. They got sent home in a cab. And I knew, like, from that moment, here we go, this cycle is going to keep going, because we can't keep them from it. And then finally the one was, you know, after the overdose, and they were in the hospital and trying to get me to bring medication. And I said, no, I can't even go to the hospital, because I knew if I went there, they would try to go or something would happen. And they discharged themselves. And, you know, as a family member, you're looking for that place. I had made phone calls. I had found the perfect place, what I thought, for them to go, where it was more of a lockdown situation. Not jail, but you could go to detox and you can't leave, you have to stay. Because I knew that every time that they come home, we were just repeating the cycle. And sure enough, from the hospital, again, they said, you have to come get them, or I'm sending them home in a cab. I found a place, talked with them, said, if I come get you, can I take you straight to this place? And that was on our way to that location where the centerpiece of their life took over. I was keeping them from that moment, and so we had to get the police involved. So, just we need people to be educated, and I've heard him say, I'm enslaved by this, I can't get out, there's no way out. And I saw it. Like, we have to be able to help these people immediately when they're asking for help, and it shouldn't cost $13,000. There needs to be something that's affordable where when they're reaching out for help, it can happen.
Absolutely.
I just got chills as you said that. He said that he was enslaved. I just got chills. Oh, and that's where we talk about it. The systems are broken. Why is it that somebody is going to prison on drug charges, right? Like this girl shared her story with us. She went to prison on drug charges, spent like, I think it was Jeannie. She spent like maybe 2 years, a year and a half in there, I believe. I might be wrong. But she comes home, right? And she's trying to get an outpatient, and she's fighting with them to get into outpatient because she was already in prison. And she goes, I could use in prison. Like, like, what do you mean? And she's been sober, I think, for 8 months now. And it's like, wow, like she has to fight for her own sobriety. Are you kidding? Like, why are there, the whole system, all the systems are all they're all together. They're all linked together, and they're all very much broken and helping each other. So it is a huge cycle. Do you think you were addicted to the addict, as they say?
I was addicted to helping, making sure that they were getting what I felt was the best help for them.
Mm-hmm. You want that, Bobby? Say hi. Oh,
he would roll to his stomach, and then he'd want to get in his roller, and then he rolled over to here, and he just kept grabbing my leg. So.
Could you grab him one of those foam things from the non?
Yeah.
So you're not eating mommy's phone? He won't give it to me.
Bye-bye.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. A good addition to this conversation.
It is. He is, and he's such an easy baby too. He's so happy. We love that. We love that, don't we, Bubby? He's into everything. Okay, so did their addiction control you?
It got to the point where I knew I'm gonna wake up. This is what's going to happen. And I knew if I said no, then they were going to go ask other people, and I was trying to protect the other people too. And also, if I said no, then the behaviors would escalate, so that I would ultimately say yes. I worked from home for a while as a teacher, and then I also have another job where I'm on the computer having meetings and stuff, and I knew that if I didn't like help or do help in their mind, that my meetings would be sabotaged, and I was embarrassed by that. And so I was just trying to live day by day to keep things afloat, and not realizing the damage that it was causing.
Absolutely. And just to hear how your life was so affected by you waking up, you already knew what was going to happen that day. Like that's how your life turns into, revolving around the loved one that's in active addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could say something to somebody that's still out there actively using, what would you say to them?
Don't give up. Know that there are people out there who support you 100% in getting better. God has plans for you. And know that people do understand that it's not you talking. The addiction is controlling your brain, and there are ways to retrain your brain and get past it and get through it. Just keep going.
Absolutely.
Great advice.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part of addiction, is it literally rewires your brain. The great thing about knowing that is you can rewire your brain back to being better, right? So your brain is very workable.
And people think it's like I don't like it when people are like, you can just stop. Like, it takes some work. It does. It takes a lot of work. But it's doable and it's pleasurable and it gets easier. Life gets better really quick. And then you'll have moments of just, you know what I mean, this. But as long as you're progressing, you're growing, this won't make you go backwards. You know, it'll make you get better. Those standstills are, people have those. Normal people have those. Like, those are times in life where you make decisions like, all right, something's not working, so how do I keep moving forward, you know? Like, that's where the education comes into play. And it's
huge.
Once you get clean, you think about it still. You when you live a certain way for such a long time,
it's a habit.
That's a lifestyle. That's you, of course you think about it. So great advice, you know.
Yeah, I always think of it, one of the things that I say to even my students is like, it's a computer that's programmed, and so the computer is programmed to go a certain way, and this is what's worked, and there are ways that you can reprogram a computer, but it's not going to be an easy thing to do. It takes time to reprogram a computer, and it's going to take time to reprogram your brain, because your brain is so used to reacting in that way, and that's what feels safe. And it is uncomfortable to try the new ways, and so it's sticking through that discomfort and knowing that you can reprogram just like a computer can be reprogrammed.
Absolutely.
It's a great way to put it. And the most incredible things that happen in life is outside of your comfort zone. So what would you say to a family member of a loved one that's still out there in active addiction?
Make sure that you're looking for the signs, and don't be afraid to tell the hard truth. Don't be afraid to make uncomfortable moves that you know are going to ultimately save your loved one's life. And make sure you're taking care of yourself and finding coping skills so that you can get through it, because ultimately you set the temperature in the room too. If you're having a tough time and your emotions are taking over, then that's going to take over the whole situation. So keep yourself emotionally balanced.
And that's the hard part, is the emotional almost. We get so caught up in the emotional state that we're unable to help anybody, because you don't want to do anything from an emotional state. That doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help them. You want to be able to step back and see it as for what it is and what you can do to impact it. Because being emotional and sharing that is just, it's no good.
Yeah.
I've personally have never seen anything coming from an emotional state that has helped.
Yeah, and when you take a step back and you take care of yourself, that's helping the other person more. You know, and the biggest reason why we started doing the family series is as an addict in recovery, I never truly looked at how much my addictions affected my family, because I didn't care. You know, I didn't. Just being blunt, I did not care. And then when I got clean and I realized that, I felt truly horrible, and I felt truly grateful for what my family did for me and how far they've helped me come, and the things that they stopped doing for me had such an impact on my life. So by you coming on here and sharing your story, it's also helping family members see that what they're feeling is eligible. It's okay to feel what they're feeling, and it's also helping them learn how to set up healthy boundaries and to take themselves away from a situation that they have no control over, because that's a big thing that we want families to understand. You have no control over another addict's addiction, and you're becoming just as addicted to that person as he is addicted to the drug. And the only way you can help them is by helping yourself get educated and love them, you know. And you're doing amazing, and we're super proud of you. We couldn't be more happier to have you on the channel, because this is what's gonna help people. You know, doing this side on our channel is what's gonna help. It's another way that we're gonna help the addicts out there in the world without having to spend $13,000. You know, because if the parents got educated on addiction, it'll help people want to get better faster.
Yeah.
So
we're just gonna go ahead and open the floor to anything that you want to share of your own experience, the strength, anything you feel is necessary. So, go ahead.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say thank you to you guys, because what you're doing is amazing and you should be super proud of yourselves.
Thank you.
So thank you. I feel it's important for, like we've kind of been talking about, people to become educated in it. I have a daughter who's 10, and that's not too early to start talking to them about, you know, this is what's going on, and be real with them. It's so important to be real. Like, when you go down this path, it could lead you to death, and it might seem intriguing, and you like, oh yeah, my friend is doing it, and look at them, they're having a good time. Our children need to be educated.
Absolutely.
And what the true impacts of addiction could cause. So I feel like that is super important, is making sure our children are educated, families are educated, and just knowing. One of my favorite Bible passages is Jeremiah 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. And God has plans for all of us.
He does.
And no mistake is too big to be forgiven.
Awesome. Absolutely. And your plan is to open up a clinic. Are you still planning on doing that?
Yeah, I actually just applied. I'm going to get my master's degree in counseling, focusing on mental health and addiction.
For you.
I'm working on starting a clinic, and actually things are moving forward. I always wanted to start a school. I'm a teacher, so things just weren't sitting right with me. It didn't feel like the right thing. And ever since things started happening with my current situation, the doors are opening. I can just see God's hand in all of it.
Absolutely.
And I feel like this is what I'm truly meant to do, to bring awareness to addiction, to help individuals who are in active addiction and recovery, and making sure they can get the resources and know that someone is out there who accepts them, forgives them, and loves them unconditionally.
We actually do a mental health series every Wednesday. I think we post a video, just because, you know, once you get clean, you're still left with yourself. You know, all those problems, you put the drug down, big step. Now it's time to work on yourself. And mental health, whether you had it before your substance abuse issues, or you gained it while using, you know,
because that can happen.
It can happen.
Yeah.
Some people just try it and they don't stop, you know. Mental health is just dual diagnosis, and mental health could be just as worse as substance abuse. And dangerous. So it's good for you.
And I saw this, it was really, really interesting article this doctor wrote. And you know how they always say the gateway drug is like alcohol or marijuana or whatever. So he's going on and he's writing this article, and he did it on some kind of study. I'll see if I can find it, but he talked about the gateway drug is mental health. Mental health is the gateway. They're like, there's no drug you're gonna use that's going to cause you to use other drugs, right? Like, the reason you use a drug in the first place is either social standards or your mental health, you know, and that's really the most important thing. I thought that was incredible. I was like, wow. Yes, like that you hit the nail right on the head with that one. Like, it's the mental health that causes people to expand out, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today and being able to take the time and come on. Truly amazing. So I'm going to email you and see if there's any, I don't know if you're going to get like a website up or anything like that, but if there's anything that people could maybe reach out to you for seeing where the clinic's at, even if it's down the road.
Any way we can help.
Any way that we can help get that out there for you as well. And we do bring people back on, so in a couple months or a year from now, we'll keep in contact. And if you're like, hey, the clinic's going really well, we can do a whole video of explaining what you've done and what you've put into it and your research behind it and things like that. Because that's, like you said, we are the army together, right? Like, we need to all come together and fight against this.